Satnam, everyone. I'm Sangeet Khalsa, and this is December 20th, 2015. I'm basically here to wish you a very wonderful season of solstice, which it is today, a happy New Year, and of course, a very Merry Christmas in between. You know, when you think about what the Christmas spirit is, for us it always starts with the solstice because, well, this is the time when we gather and we chant. We chant for 2.5 hours. We chant to the one God that is one with His creation. And it was very wonderful this morning for a few dozen of us to gather to do that in the pre-dawn hours, to remember every day the Creator of this creation, to pray, to gather as a family, as you do with your families. And throughout this season, it's wonderful to have the opportunity, to take that opportunity every day, to pray, to enjoy the values of family and the preciousness of life. When I look at this season, I ask myself, what is Christmas all about? Is it about giving gifts? Well, yes, it is. But it's so much more than that, because it's about celebrating the gift of life that we all have, and that we enjoy through prayer, that we enjoy through service. You know, recently I remember seeing something on a local commentator who made national news, that they were asking everyone to please try to limit their expenditures in the holiday season to like $2,000 per family. Now I realize for very large families that may not sound like, much, but I remember days when there wasn't plenty. I remember days during the war, World War II, that big one back there, when we were still recovering from the Depression, when there was a lot of scarcity. My father was a humble salesman and worked the newspaper route, anything he could to make money. Mom was a teacher, very underpaid, as teachers were in those days, grossly underpaid. And Dad got a giveaway tree from a local merchant, and we strung popcorn. The only ornaments we had were from my mother's mother, who made them in the 1800s. They were very sweet, very precious. We didn't have toys. We didn't have things to festoon the tree with. We had an angel that was so old, but had been a hand-me-down, heaven knows how many generations, and that sat atop the tree. And of course, Christmas Eve, we went down to church and we sang carols and hymns. And it was wonderful. We had hot chocolate and sweet things like that, gathering together. And then we came home. Dad went off to work on the newspaper route, which was always late night, early morning hours. And this was a time when, we would normally go to bed, and I guess most people would think about sugar plum fairies and things like that, But we weren't much for eating sugar. In those days, there wasn't a whole lot around. And so we had a couple little gifts we put under the tree, and we waited. Now, most people say, oh, you waited for Santa. No, we waited for Dad, because we knew Dad would do something special. We got up in the morning, came downstairs, had our little hot chocolates, looked at the two gifts under the tree. It all looked pretty much like the way it was when we went to bed. And we opened one package. It was a pair of little warm mittens for me, and there was another package, a little bottle of inexpensive eau de cologne for my mother. And then we looked up, high up in the tree, right under the angel, was this white envelope. On the front of it, he had, for my gals. Inside, we opened it up, and there was this crisp $100 bill and a little note that just said, love, Dad. That was so phenomenal. I imagine to most of you now, it doesn't seem like much of anything, but that $100 made it possible for us to have a few days by the seashore in the summer as a family with a beagle, enjoying running in the sand. But it said something about hard work, the preciousness of our time together, and what it took to stand for each other and the values that we believed in. I believe those values are still very much alive. And I think now is the time that we all need to focus on family and prayer for this world. Of all the hymns that go with the Christmas time, I remember singing them in English and Latin and German. I was a very little kid and very easy to pick up languages. And so in the choir early years, all of that. And I always remember that best celebration of all was sitting around under the tree waiting for a little gift from the real Santa, my dad. And how hard Mom and I tried to make all the cheer we could. I ask each of you, please, join me in prayer for this world. Let love defeat fear and anger. Let goodness of heart bring light where people shed so much darkness. Of all cultures, we celebrate the birth of a child, but every child is a birth we celebrate. Every child is precious, and each of us is still a child. Celebrate yourselves and those you love. Well, on the 30th, those of you who would like to join us will broadcast our special annual forecast of the year ahead. We'll have some food first. We'll do a little chant of meditation. And somewhere around, probably 7 or 7:15 Mountain Time, we'll broadcast. And it will be quite an interesting review of the year ahead. I'll show you all how to calculate what cycle you're going into, what the planetary cycle will be. It's one that will require a lot of courage, a lot of work on our part to remember and live our values and to share them with people of all faiths, of all walks of life, of all colors, creeds, of all dispositions. Let love prevail. I greet you with love on the solstice day. I share love with you through Christmas into the new year. Bless you for all you have been in my life, for the joy to be able to serve you in any and all ways. Thank you. Sat Nam.
May the force of the heart be with you this holiday season, this Christmas season, this New Year's season.
Sat Nam. Underscore that one. May the force be with you. Force of light, force of heart, force of prayer.